I am feeling so Gen Z today. My shirt, I got it at a thrift store and I don't know why, but got hair on my boob. Welcome back to my channel today. Blown out. Hold up. So first of all, I just want to say, I don't know if any of you guys have been feeling, the post-COVID blues. I think meaning, the past 2 years of all of our lives have sort of shifted. We've been sort of forced to tuck away into a little bubble where we've been isolated and things have been closed. Life has sort of stopped. Things have been at a standstill. And so 2 years later now, we are all kind of trying to find like the rhythm again. Like, what is this new norm? And I just personally feel, I don't know about any of you guys, I personally feel like there is no going back to the way things were. That doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like that was the purpose of everything that had happened. And I feel like so many of us, our worlds were shaken, our lives were shaken, our health was shaken up. But I also have seen like myself lately sort of in a way missing just the simplicity that came within the bubble of not being able to do much and forcing us and sort of giving us all the permission to slow down and to just simply be, whether it was like just being with family more because that was who you were quarantining with, or kind of restructuring your day-to-day routine to fit this new sort of way of life. I've been finding myself on the other side, and I want to hear from you guys too, how it's been for y'all. Now that things are opening up again, and now that life is sort of picking back up, I feel like my rhythm has changed a lot with like my pace of life. And it's actually a better thing for me. And I don't want to go back to that rhythm that I was living in before, which was very much like this go, 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 hustle and bustle rhythm. And I'm learning that productivity is not about being busy. And I'm trying to really lean into, the stillness in the day versus the chaos that tries to pull us in every which way. And it's in that stillness where I've been able to constantly feel centered and at peace more when it comes to just motherhood, business, making my decisions, not feeling so rushed, not feeling like life is pushing me around and rushing me around. And so that's just what I wanted to share first and foremost with like post-pandemic. I feel like we haven't even really been able to catch up since all of that. We've really been tuning into that. And it's like, ironically, as we have been building and growing this next chapter, right? This Stevie and Sazan S&S goods world, we have found that there's really no other way that we want to do it than to have a pace that does feel truly like slower to move. It's like this slower pace to life that's just a beautiful pace, and we just feel like God is really at the center of that part of our lives with this passion project world of Stevie and Sazan. And so today I wanted to actually jump on here as well and just share that, our spring theme this season, we said like after the fall launch that we had, we took some time to kind of tuck away again and hibernate, I guess you can say, to just kind of wrap up the end of the year stuff last year and kind of figure out what was some of the vision forecasting stuff that we wanted for the future and for 2022. And I think we all felt that at the beginning of the year. January was like that time where I just felt like, I don't know, I was like hit by this wave of like, okay, life is gonna get back to normal again. Things are gonna open up, and now what do you wanna do? And then what are you gonna do it? And how are you gonna lay this year out? And it just felt really overwhelming. I felt this pressure. I have to remind myself that like nothing can actually pressure you to do anything. Like when you can take that pressure that you put on yourself, just release it and just remind yourself like there is nothing forcing me to like have to perform and put this unnecessary pressure on myself. Like there is no deadlines. Like why am I putting this unnecessary pressure on myself? I felt that at the start of the year. I felt this unnecessary pressure and I was like, all right, time out. I need to release this and I need to stop feeling the pressure of like the world. I think it also hit me this year too, like having 2 kids is so different than having 1 kid, especially when they are both very mobile and active now. There's days where I'm just not feeling it, and I can't seem to get out of like this little rut where I feel like I just am trying to catch up to this level of energy that I feel like I have to be at in order to be productive. I have just found that all that pressure was over my head as a mom, as an entrepreneur, trying to build this second business. And I didn't realize that so often we try to put timestamps on things that we want to see come to fruition, but things are just not. You can't do it all at once, and that's not how God intended it to be. When I get stressed out, I'm the type of person that can become very high functioning. I tend to do a lot more, and I tend to get really overwhelmed or stressed out. I actually push myself even harder as a result. I end up going 1,000,000 miles per hour, and for me, that is like not a good thing. I find myself when I get to those places, I tend to crash, and I tend to feel like all of this pressure and I'm trying to attain this certain level of perfection, which is so stupid because there's no such thing as perfection. And it really forces me to have to like check myself. But I have kind of started identifying when I'm getting into those kinds of rhythms in life, and I'm like, I don't want to get to that place. And so I have been actively working on having a slower pace. I think that's been kind of what has helped me with that. As a mom, as a working mom, like if you know, whether you go and clock in somewhere or you work from home, you just deal with a lot on your plate. You constantly feel like, you owe it to everybody in your life and in your family to keep it together. Like you feel like the glue for your family. And it doesn't matter how many times your husband or your friends or your family tries to remind you, like, you're human, calm down, like slow down. You just feel like there's always this pressure of like, well, if I slow down, things are gonna pile up and then I'm just gonna be having to pick up my pace harder to catch up. And I just realized that mentality was just not the right mentality for me to have, and I did not want to be that way, because when I am that way, what happens? I miss out. I miss out on the things that are right in front of me, the moments, the milestones, and these beautiful moments with my girls. All that to say, the beginning of the year I was feeling this way, and then I had this epiphany in LA, and when I came back from LA, I realized something. I was like, we've been working on our spring theme for SNS, and this spring season, we've really felt like the theme has been all about new beginnings, fresh starts, and where old memories meet new. There's something about the springtime where it always takes me back to some nostalgia. Like I grew up, and so did Stevie, but growing up in Texas, there's something about the way that the grass smells and that the trees are that just takes me back to like my kindergarten years where I was growing up in North Dallas. And I remember being outside and the field trips and the field days and just the time spent with my family. For this new Stevie and Sazan world, we knew it was a space where the content that we create felt like it was truly like the deepest, most most sincere place that really is from the heart. And so we don't want to force it, and we don't want to feel like we have to overproduce. But the content that we do produce in that world, we want it to feel very intentional, and we want it to carry a purpose. And so when we took the time this year to figure out what that spring theme was going to look like for the Stevie and Sazan website world, we were like really feeling like the obvious. Spring is all about like this fresh start, because when fall comes around, we feel like everything goes to sleep, right? Like the tree leaves, like they all fall and the trees are naked. And then you start to notice, like when it's spring, there's this aroma in the air. It's this fresh new aroma that just gives you this sense of like a reset. It gives you this kind of like fresh, you're taking a fresh breath of air. And I felt like that was like so spot on for me personally, and just going through the waves and the winds of life. And so as a mom and as somebody who's trying to grow and build so many other things in our world, I just felt like when when the flowers started to bloom and the trees started to, the leaves started to blossom and all that, I just felt like I was taken back again to that place in my childhood. And so when we were doing the video and we were brainstorming what we wanted this video to emulate for the spring theme, to really carry out that messaging of fresh start, new beginnings, and where old memories meets new, we were thinking about the video, and we knew that we wanted it to feel very whimsical. We knew that we wanted it to feel very cinematic, since we love just that genre. Stevie and Sazan World has given us sort of like the permission to bring that part of us out and to share more of like our life's message that we want to share with the world about the good life and what it means through this style of content. Now, granted, we are a very small team. I'm talking, it's Stevie and I and maybe 1.5 other people. Like, it's a very small production. So this spring video, we shot it is 1 camera shoot, and we ended up getting the rights to use this beautiful song. Feels like the trees are waking up, that spring is starting to pop through, and the flowers are making their entrance. And so this song really just instantly, it stole our hearts. We wanted it to feel like you were just taking a page out of the spring storybook of life. We wanted people to feel the nostalgia. We wanted to, captivate just memories and moments, which is a huge part and is kind of at the core, loving where you are right now and really being present in the moment, right? And I think what we realized in this spring season was like, so much of who we are, it's like it comes from the past. So we can't forget about like that element. To be able to truly soak up the moment and to appreciate where you are right now, sometimes you have to see how far you've come. And so for us, we knew that there was a few key things we wanted to do for this spring theme overall campaign. And we don't have a marketing team. It's just a very small operation. So we decided that there was just so much history between Stevie and I, and we wanted to dig deep in our hearts and figure out, well, what are some of those stories that we can bring out and to share for this spring theme and this powerful message really that we feel like people need to hear right now more than ever. We had the vision to bring back to life a story honoring Stevie's great-grandparents, which I thought was so cool to hear his Uncle Mark tell us all about it. Stevie's great-grandparents, his grandpa Bill and his great-grandma Anna, had this really beautiful love story, and they didn't even speak the same language. He was a boy from Kansas, and she was a girl from Armenia. Yes, believe it or not, Stevie's great-grandparents were totally from 2 different worlds, and they met while he was serving in the army, and she was fleeing from the genocide that was going on. So when they met each other at a horse racetrack, their eyes locked, and it was love at first sight. And when they finally mustered up the courage to go up to each other and to introduce themselves, they realized that they did not speak the same language. She spoke Russian and he spoke English. Somehow they both ended up in Shanghai, China at this racetrack as he was serving in the army and she was fleeing from genocide with her family. And so she was looking and searching for this place of home. He ended up there and she ended up there. And so it was just really a beautiful story that I see so many common threads between Stevie and I's story. And I think what I realized when I was looking at their photos and hearing their story was Stevie and I were just like, it's a really beautiful thing to like never want to forget about the past and the beauty in the past. I know so many quotes and things out there today is like, if it's in the past, leave it in the past and move on. And I get that, but there is just this beauty in, I think, the art of preserving just the past and the things of the past, like the beauty of a handwritten note and all of these beautiful things that I believe that nowadays we're living in such a disposable world that those things are just passed up on. But we wanted to bring their story and pay it sort of homage through our Stevie and Sazan site, a place where we wanted it to live and where we want them to live because they're such a part of our story. I mean, the reality is we would not be here today. Stevie wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the sacrifices, right, that they made to be together. I think so often with the good life, we think it's like the perfect life. It's chasing and living life to the fullest, but we have learned that the good life really is a life that doesn't mean that hard doesn't exist. In fact, good and hard can coexist. And I believe that, while there's not every day is good, right? But there is still good in every day. And how can we hold on to those things? And instead of searching for more and chasing the next best thing, how can we just look at everything that's right in front of us right now, look up, look around, and just, find the beauty in what is now, and loving where we are right now, even though we have those dreams and those aspirations and those goals for our future. So that brings me to the next part of this campaign that we created, which was I knew that we wanted to create a long form video, similar to the fall video that you guys saw when we launched, sharing sort of what out of the gates this whole chapter in the Stevie and Sazan world is going to be about and what we want to do with it and the message. So for this spring video, we knew like, okay, there is definitely another beautiful cinematic video that has to happen. I know you guys died for that. I died for it. And I was like, this is it. Like if there's one thing that excites me in our Stevie and Sazan world, it's these videos that we are producing and creating. I mean, we are literally pouring all this heart, soul, and creativity into these epic short film sort of videos, and I'm really enjoying this process. I'm literally zero, nothing from scratch, coming up with this beautiful message, and how do we bring that message to life visually? When we thought about the spring video, I was telling Stevie, like, I agree, we should totally have a really beautiful spring inspired video just showing the essence of spring, that aroma that I was telling y'all about. So we created a short little trailer for our homepage, but I still felt like there needed to be words, just like our first video. It's a story about my mom and I and my childhood. It's an excerpt truthfully from my heart, because when I kept thinking about spring, I kept going back to this story in my childhood. I kept thinking back to this specific memory, and I could not get this memory off my mind, off my heart. That's why I ended up writing it down, and I actually forgot about this story, and I wrote this over 2 years ago, this story. I just knew that I needed to get it down. I didn't know where I was gonna share it or how I was gonna share it. I just figured I'm gonna write this down. And it's so crazy because since COVID and to now, when we were thinking about this video, I remember I wrote this excerpt around that time of COVID time, you know? And now I forgot about it up until the week when we were getting ready to shoot this video. We were getting ready to bring our friend Garrett out to help film this one camera shoot video for spring. And Stevie felt like the song that we ended up choosing was gonna be a very hard song to narrate over. And so he said, I don't know if we should narrate over this second video for the spring theme. And I said, but I don't know why, but I feel like we need to find the words or pray about it and see maybe God will give us those words, kind of like he did with your Goodness is All Around video. That was just like Holy Spirit gave Stevie those words. He immediately recorded it, and bam. It was literally 3 days before the shoot, and I was like, oh my gosh, why hasn't the Lord given us the words for this video? Maybe the VO, like voiceover, is not meant to be. Like maybe this is a hard song to narrate over, but why do I feel like there's this story that I can't seem to put my finger on that we need to share about spring, and specifically tying into everything that I've been talking about? And all of a sudden, that memory popped up in my head. I'm not kidding you. It was the memory of my mom and I when I was a young girl, and it was that same story that I had written 2 years ago that came right back in my memory. And I thought, oh my God, I need to go find that. Where is that? Where did I even put that story? So I ended up going into my email and I'm like looking for it, and I found it, and I had not read it in so long. Playing the music and just reading it out loud. And I remembered thinking, oh my God, this is it. This is, for some reason, this is the story that needs to be shared over this video. I called our team, I called Stevie and John and our video guy that was coming out from California, and I said, you guys are gonna hate me, but I just know that now the direction of this whole video, it's gonna change a little bit. Not only are we just capturing really beautiful shots outside of nature and of spring, but I truthfully feel like we have to tell this story, and we have to bring the visuals to this story that I now feel like God has put on my heart to revisit and to share. So the story is about me as a little girl, and it's a true story. My parents growing up, they had this junky car that would just constantly break down on them. And I know that that heartache, it just caused a lot of turmoil, but there was this hidden blessing in it. And that's what this story is about. And I wanted to share it with you guys, and I wanted to bring it here on my channel because I felt like this is truthfully the one space where I feel like I can just talk to you guys openly and wholeheartedly about what kind of went into this video. It was more than just a beautifully curated shot video. This story was literally one that was pulled from my heart that I knew for whatever reason had to be shared with you guys. And I hope that when you watch this video, when you listen to the words of this video, I hope that whatever it is that maybe has been tugging in your heart, whatever has maybe felt like broken in your life, I hope that this video would be that gift for you to walk away and to feel like you have a little bit more clarity and a little bit more of an understanding, and to see how there could be beauty in the adversity and some of those obstacles that some of you guys might be facing right now. And so I hope that you guys love this video. I'm gonna play it for you guys right now, and I hope that you enjoy it. And I just wanna thank you guys for letting me share this story with you guys on my channel. And thank you so much for supporting SNS. We're so excited to have you guys in this next chapter with us. It's just a real privilege and an honor getting to serve such an amazing community like you guys. I love y'all so much, and I just appreciate you guys letting me be me. Thanks guys. Enjoy the video.
My mom's car had broken down again. It happened so often that my 5-year-old self assumed cars were supposed to break down as much as they worked. I'm sure it caused a lot of inconvenience for my parents, but for me, it meant my mom would walk me to school. If you've ever gone on a long walk with a small child, you know getting somewhere on time is a complicated priority. But since we were going to school, Mom didn't want me to be late. Her solution was to put me on her shoulders. I loved seeing the world from so high up. I would wrap my arms around her neck and reach out for tree limbs overhanging the sidewalk as we passed. There was a grapevine with massive leaves as big as my head. I'd inspect different fruits and pluck them from the branches. It felt like a little scavenger hunt. Looking back, it was so much more. These walks to school were our time together, our chance to be together and enjoy each other despite whatever hardships we were facing as a family. I was my mother's little helper, and that made me so happy. It also showed me that my mom wanted to be with me, to amble along the side road with the delight of letting me pick the fruit. We probably wouldn't do this for more than 5 minutes. I still had to get to school, and looking back, I'm sure she had plenty to do. But that 5-minute detour left a mark on my heart that only a loving mom can give. As I anticipated the arrival of my first daughter, I reflected on those walks with my mom. It helped me understand I wouldn't have to be perfect. I realized that every expression of love doesn't have to be larger than life and ready for Instagram. No, it would be the small moments that say, "I love you," without any words. It also dawned on me that the broken down car was the unintended invitation into these moments. That junky car caused a lot of heartache for my parents, but it also provided a hidden blessing and lots of fruit. Those walks taught me that adversity can open new, surprising, wonderful moments of connection, joy, and love. Maybe something in your life feels broken right now. I get it. I've lived through a lot of broken. If you open your heart to what broken can bring, it's possible you can find blessings and memories and love.